With styles like Iona in the 80s, and the revolution going on inside a farm town in Haiti.
Welcome to the show. This is Independence Daze. I'm Brendon.
I'm John.
And, we just wanted to start the show because, we're just two guys who work and just, hang out but have lots of thoughts about the world. We're not satisfied with the status quo. And, we got some questions, to say the least.
Yeah.
We just, started shooting the shit after work, a year ago, right?
Yeah.
And then just, really couldn't stop. So, fuck it. Put a microphone on us.
Yeah.
So buckle up. It's going to be lots of space shit and conspiracy theories and politics and news and pop culture, maybe. Just what's going on? What's going on, everybody?
In your face.
In your fucking face. But not to you in an aggressive way. We're not.
But maybe in an aggressive way.
But yeah, maybe. Maybe if you're a shitty person, I'm going to be aggressive to you. If you're a Nazi, go fuck yourself. Okay? That's not, rule number one. Usually, okay, rule number one, there's no rules. Rule number two, fuck Nazis. Don't listen to this show. Unless you're being forced to listen to the show. Then, fuck you.
If you are being forced to listen to the show, I hope that it puts your mind at ease for a little bit, helps you forget about whatever situation you're in that someone's forcing you to listen to our show.
Right.
I hope it gives you a little bit of...
For those of you who are in a dungeon somewhere, I hope we can give you an accurate representation of what it's like to be someone out in the real world. Who, I guess you're in the worst part of the real world.
Yeah, to the person keeping them, let them out.
Let them out.
Just let them out.
Okay. Give them a phone. Give your victim turn yourself in. Just cut the bullshit. Don't even call the police. Just stop. Let this person go free. But if you've left the home to go live your fake real life while you have a kidnapped person in the basement, and it's just you, the victim, in a basement, we hope this gives you an accurate representation of someone who's out in the real world and taking it in and realizing that everything's kind of fucked up. Yeah. So come along. You're part of this journey too.
It's quite the tangent.
Yeah. Well, hey, here we are. This is from Business Insider. The universe is expanding faster than scientists thought, a study confirms. A crisis in cosmology that could require a new physics. It's from October 26th. And then it's got a real trippy graphic. So, little bullet points. The universe is expanding faster than scientists predicted, a finding that created what one astrophysicist called the crisis in cosmology. A new study confirmed this dilemma using new telescope technology and data from NASA's Hubble Space Telescope. Scientists can't yet explain the discrepancy between their models and new measurements, and the mystery could lead to new physics, according to another researcher. That's crazy. I don't even understand regular physics, so now there's physics part 2.
2.0.
2.0. Physics 2.0. Yeah. Holy shit.
Actually, it's probably more like physics 3.0.
Yeah.
But, this happened in the 90s. This happened in the 90s where, they wanted to measure how fast the galaxies were separating from each other. And or if they were slowing down or at a constant speed, or how fast they're moving away from each other. and they found that they were speeding up. They were moving away, but they were speeding up, and so, like, they determined that the galaxy is expanding at an exponential rate, and now, like back then they had to invent dark energy or whatever to account for why that's happening.
Wait, so did they invent dark energy, or it's like as a concept to explain it?
So yeah, so like I don't know. I'm just reading these articles and stuff. Like, I can't say for sure, but from what I understand, they see a problem with their physics. Like, something is there. Like, this is happening. The universe is expanding quickly. So there's like so they say that there's like 60% of the universe is like made up of dark energy. Like, that's the unknown force that is causing the universe to speed up. It's a repulsive, like, gravity or something, and it's like it's like what they do with dark matter. I think dark matter is they did some test on galaxies, and they just to see how fast the galaxies were spinning, and they found that the galaxies were spinning so fast that it didn't make sense in physics for the planets and the solar systems on the outer rim of the stars and stuff on the outer rims of the galaxy. Like, there wasn't enough gravity to hold those all that stuff, like all that matter, to the galaxy. It would have flown off by how fast the galaxy was spinning. But they're there. So they say, like, okay, so then there's this dark matter that we don't see. We can't see it. But it has to be there because it's keeping all this stuff, like all this matter, attached, like, inside the galaxy instead of flying off into nowhere.
Whoa.
So like that's what dark matter and, like, dark energy is. It's just a name that they put on something that they can't.
They don't know what it is.
They don't know what it is.
And we think that's like the cause of gravity, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's the cause of gravity or if it's just like a different type of gravity or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It has its own gravitational pull.
Yeah,
that's wild.
But it doesn't interact with light. That's why, like, you can't see it. So so like we don't see anything there, but there's some kind of gravitational distortion.
The researchers pointed the telescope toward 3 systems of bright, highly active galaxies called quasars. They studied the quasars using a process called gravitational lensing, which measures the way light gets bent as it travels around massive objects on its way toward Earth. That's here. That's where we're at right now. A massive object, like a giant galaxy, say, bends light in a variety of directions, which allows scientists to see different distorted versions of the same quasar from slightly different times in its past. Wow. They can then compare those various images to calculate how long a quasar's light takes to reach us and gather information about how much time the universe expanded during that travel time. Like the previous studies, the new results showed that the universe is expanding more rapidly than the standard model predicts. The research compared the results to data from the Hubble Space Telescope, and the findings were consistent. So they're saying that there's a difference in the Hubble constant between early and late time universe means that there is something missing in our current standard model. Astrophysicist Sherry Suyu said in a press release about the recent study. For example, it could be exotic dark energy, or a new relativistic particle, or some other new physics yet to be discovered. God damn.
Or, like, I don't know, maybe like physics are just changing in the universe, like, because I don't know. I mean, this is just going off of memory from, or like maybe a distorted memory or something. But, like, I heard that in the early universe, like, physics were different because, like, there were forces that weren't there yet, like maybe like the strong or weak force or whatever, and or gravity or something, because, like, there wasn't any, like, there, like, matter wasn't hadn't had enough time to collect, or like space was too condensed, too hot for anything to happen. So like
too like homogeneous, right?
So, like just early universe was very like nothing could really. It was just like everything was expanding and like nothing could really like emerge from that like environment. So as it expanded, new forces come about, and like matter starts to collect up and form, like stars, and like hydrogen's made or something. Like we get a certain element, and then as it expands more and cools down more elements are made as like different events happen, like where stars are made that can make heavier elements, and like then like you have exploding stars that make new elements. Like there's just new events that happen as the space gets bigger and older and cools down more, and then different things happen. Maybe like things are just changing. Maybe like since it's bigger for whatever reason, it's just expanding faster now, or and I don't know. Like it's something that our brains never evolved to understand.
Yeah, for sure. So what does this mean for us?
It means that our physics are even more are even less reliable than we thought, maybe. I mean, they're reliable for a lot of stuff.
They're reliable for like our normal like terrestrial understanding of the world.
It just shows us that there's so like we see like a very like a like it's like our visual, like our light spectrum that we get to see, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a small little fraction of the whole spectrum.
Right.
Like we're seeing a very small glimpse of like the universe and how it works. And like there's just so much that we don't understand still.
Yeah.
About it. And in regular physics and in quantum physics, like quantum mechanics, you can't even get a straight answer out of quantum mechanics. It's like percentages and stuff.
Yeah, well, like I was reading something about IBM's new quantum computer, and they don't really know how it works still. They just like put it together with their theories and stuff, and they're like, this is gonna do something, but we don't know why. But it computes many things at once. That shit's wild. Yeah. That shit's evil to me. That companies are doing this. Going back to what we were talking about last week. With space travel. Yeah. Doing a little live. Yeah. Little live surfing the web. Come along. More than two of us can fit on this web surfboard. So China is working, ladies and gentlemen, China is working on quantum computing right now. It's amazing. It's a computer, okay? It's a computer, ladies and gentlemen, that lets you write 2 tweets at once, ladies and gents.
Got some construction going on outside.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It's Chicago.
Rude. Yeah, it's Chicago. Well, fuck this. I mean, okay, so there's construction happening all the time. I know to people who are from Chicago, they're like, there's 2 seasons, winter and construction, which is hilarious. But
they gotta get it in
all the time. I keep tripping on like new asphalt, and I feel like a fool, man.
Yeah, they do a shit job of like repatching the holes that they jackhammer out of the road and sidewalk and alleyways.
Yeah,
they'll just like dump some fresh asphalt on the hole, and there'll be a lump there, and they'll just like pat it down and call it a day. Hey,
they got other stuff to have to.
Yeah, true.
Fucking Chicago. Teachers are on strike. Teachers are about to meet an agreement after 7 school days of striking. It's kind of huge. This is a long strike.
You know what we need? We need a Ron Swanson to, come out and fix the holes just the old-fashioned way, like just by himself. No no papers or permits or anything, just, going out, mixing his own asphalt or cement or whatever he's going to use, and fucking, like,
I'm about it.
Fill the hole, and then, move on to the next one.
I would love to have artisanal...
Good old-fashioned Ron Swansons.
Yeah, like, I would love to hire just, like, artisanal union masonry construction workers to, like, do all the streets and stuff. I mean, all of the architecture in Chicago is beautiful, and it's from 100 years ago. And everything has just gotten more just, like, plain and angular, and it doesn't have any character. Yeah, I would love to have, like... some real talented fucking artisans out there paving the streets and building new buildings and shit like that. Not so it's just like rich people that can live in it though.
Yeah. Well, let's just do it everywhere.
Let's do it with everything.
It's easier said than done.
I understand that, but you gotta have a good imagination to know what you're shooting for. If you have a limited imagination about how you want the world to be, then what you're capable of is even more limited. Because you're not gonna get your dream right if you land somewhere along the way, like, say, for example, you were trying to shoot for the moon, right? But, like, NASA only gives you half a rocket. You still land amongst the stars.
No. Stars are...
The stars are farther. Oh, that's a terrible...
The sun.
That's terrible... that's not a good idiom.
No, it's not.
You gotta shoot for the stars. Even if you miss, you'll land on the moon.
Yeah, age like milk.
Damn, wow. You heard it here first, y'all. Retire that. Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars.
Shoot for the stars. If you miss, you'll land
on... Yeah.
You'll be all by yourself on the moon, and it sucks there. Good luck.
You've got half a rocket. You've got to build there's no
Wi-Fi on the moon.
No Wi-Fi.
All right.
Can't look at memes. Right?
There's, like, a dead cosmonaut.
Oh, Jesus.
And, like, there's, like, all of Putin's...
Yeah.
Everybody who ever crossed, like, Putin.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So many,
Bill
like,
Clinton.
Dead Russian dogs. Russian dogs and
That's
monkeys.
why Jeff Bezos wants to go to the moon.
Because he wants to harness all these ghosts, all the fucking negative, traumatic energy on the moon.
His employees that die in his warehouse.
Yeah, Jesus. Oh well, India just had a failed moon mission. That should just happened. That's sad.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
Well, it's not over.
It's not. I mean,
we had failed moon missions.
Oh, yeah, man.
Everybody has failed.
Everybody
That's a hard thing to do.
No, it is. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Elon Musk, SpaceX, they had some failed rocket launches.
Yeah, sure.
And now their rockets land.
Just it looks
right
like CGI.
Down. Yeah.
Over a month ago at this point, this is the most recent article I can find on the moon mission.
I'm pulling for you, India.
Yeah, no, for real, because that's what's awesome about space travel. I'm from Houston. I grew up, just like being proud of being part of the culture of like going to the moon and like going into space and like doing everything for the sake of humanity, and like putting all the bullshit aside just to send humans into space. We're not meant to go to space, We did it. We're not meant to like break through the fucking atmosphere and land something on the moon or much less like to a space station that orbits around the planet. It's crazy. Yeah. So also, you know, like government space programs, like I'm really for it because it's for humanity. It's for the advancement of the species, you know, and there's like unity, you know.
It's also like our species rise from like the hierarchy, like, and disattachment from like the hierarchy of nature and everything, and like, you know, embarking on a new journey, like a new evolutionary journey out in the cosmos.
So let's see. The lander module from India's moon mission has been located on the lunar surface the day after it lost contact with the space station, and efforts are underway to try to establish contact with it, the head of the nation's space agency said. Let's see. Were there people on this mission?
Probably not. I don't
Probably
know.
not.
I don't know anything about it. To be
only 3 nations, the United States, the former Soviet Union, and China, have landed a spacecraft on the moon.
Right.
So like good for us, but God, that sucks. I guess nobody was on this mission though. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Cuz that would be it's just a lunar module.
It would be sad, but at the same time, astronauts or cosmonauts or whatever the Indian astronauts will be called, they know what they're getting into. It's a dangerous mission.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the whole point, right? We're talking about like we're doing it for humanity.
Yeah.
And like as far as like leaving the natural hierarchy, you can only do so much because like the Kelly twins, like they came back, right? Or one guy was NASA did the study with twins, and they sent one twin.
How Nazi of them.
Yeah, right. That's
it's a little project paperclip.
Science brought to you by atrocities, genocidal atrocities. So Chris Kelly is the twin that was on the International Space Station for a record amount of time, something like 130 something days, I want to say. And when he came back, like his DNA had changed. Like he was a different. Oh, sorry, Scott Kelly. Scott Kelly was in the International Space Station.
From radiation.
And Mark Kelly was the twin here on Earth. I mean, yeah, part of it's radiation. And also just like the lack of gravity just really fucks with you. And it like...
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, your body's used to like...
340 days in space.
Your body's used to like a certain atmospheric pressure always pushing down on it, and the gravity like of the planet, and like fighting against that and being out in space. There's it's just not there. So then your body's like fighting against something that's not there, and it makes sense how that could.
Well, okay, so his DNA didn't change, but the way his genes expressed. The genetic expression changed in space. You know, it just sounds like some layman's stuff, you know, which is fine. Like, but like, yeah, like his mental abilities decreased in space. That's kind of wild, which is like, now we're talking about going to Mars, and that's a 3-year trip to Mars. We're waiting for the perfect time for the Earth and Mars to be at the most close to each other in their respective orbits. And
what if, like, it's just...
All right, so this is from National Geographic. One-of-a-kind study of astronaut twins hints at space flight's health effects. Okay, one of a kind. Do you know who else did twin studies? Nazis. Okay.
SS officers.
SS officers. No, okay, I was just kidding. Okay. I mean, they did that, but...
Yeah. And then they also did come over to America and get put in, like, NASA
and
rocket
the
space program.
Yeah, that's true. And the rocket technology.
Warren von Braun was a Nazi scientist in World War II.
Okay, yeah, we'll put a little asterisk on that.
The head of the... If you Google it, his bio says he fought in World War II. He didn't fight, but he was in the German. But, you know, part of that is, like, if you were in Germany when that whole thing went down and you were a scientist, it's like they're sending people off to the camps. Like, just sending people away. And what are you going to do? Like, try to get out of there. But, like, some of those people, like, it's just, you know, it's like how we were talking on the last episode of, you know, the humiliation of, like, humiliating somebody into doing what you want. Like, there's so many ways to manipulate somebody into doing what you want. Like, for Hitler, you know, he threatened to ruin you, like, send you away, like, you know, you, like, everything you worked for as a scientist or whatever would be for nothing. Like, you wouldn't, but he offered, you know, to allow you to continue your studies, but, like, do what he wanted you to do, and, like, he would even, you know, give you whatever you wanted to do that. Like, there's the temptation, and there's like the backhand, or, like, the backlash if you don't, you know. So, like, it's not to justify this, but I'm just,
the power is attractive.
Yeah.
And that's who goes into those positions, is the people who find that power attractive. Just like even right now, nobody wants to work in the Trump administration, but the people who do are the most, like, craven, corrupt, racist, fucking shit-eating millionaires who are going to be total enablers, you know? And even if it's just for their own sake and they don't even care about the child fucking concentration camps, that's still evil. That's only a compartmentalizing that they're doing, but anyone with eyes can see that the two things are distinctly related to each other. I am getting rich and getting connections and have a job and having glory by being in this position of leadership in this horrible administration. But the fact that I don't whistle blow or do anything real to stop the administration, like, that's the only thing that allows me to be quote unquote successful right now, you know? So, like, that trade-off shouldn't be ignored by the rest of us.
Yeah.
So Scott Kelly was in space, and his genes did all these crazy things. Let's see. So more than 90% of Scott's genes returned to normal expression levels, but some small changes persisted after he came back. And while most of his elongated telomeres, those are they're like little protective caps at the end of chromosomes. They are biomarkers of aging and potential health risk, says researchers at Colorado State. And, man, there's a lot of shit in this article that I don't even understand.
Yeah.
I just want to know what happened to his body. Okay, here's... this is from Wired. This is what I had read before. I like this one. So, yeah, he was in space for 340 days. And this is from Wired. This is, are humans fit for space? A Herculean study says maybe not. Man, reading's hard. So in space, your fluids don't drain. Astronauts develop red, puffy faces and complain of congestion or pressure in their ears. 40% of the astronauts who lived on the International Space Station suffered some sort of damage to their eyes, including optic disc edema, globe flattening, and folds in the choroid. the choroid, the blood-filled layer between the retina and the white sclera. This is for all you optometrists out there.
You know what we need to do?
Huh?
We need to freeze people that go into space.
Can we? I mean, we're just so far off from the technology of like cryogenics or unfreezing people essentially, and I mean creating gravity.
We should just start sending people over to Mars in the bunches, frozen, and then when we figure out the technology to unfreeze them in the future, we'll send a rocket over that can unfreeze people automatically once they get there, and then the people on that rocket will be unfreeze. Yeah, will unfreeze and just start unfreezing, and then you already have a bunch of a big population on Mars.
Wow!
While you're terraforming it all this time.
Damn.
I don't know.
God, everyone's gonna be so weak and tired.
Well, no, if they're frozen, maybe they're like. They're not. Would they atrophy? Would they age? Or isn't that like kind of the point of freezing? Like they kind of just are in a stasis,
suspended.
Suspended.
Yeah. I mean, would you ever go to Mars? Let's say it's not a mining operation, right?
I'm still pulling for John here on Earth. You know, I still think I'm gonna be able to make it here on Earth.
Yeah, I feel that too. No, I don't want to go anywhere. I would love to visit the moon once, or the space station. Yeah. That would be cool. Or even the edges of the atmosphere would be super tight. Or being in a hot air balloon. That's really cool too. But I would never live in space.
Would you live in Death Valley, Nevada? Not talking bad about it.
Yeah, Nevada, but no, I wouldn't know.
I think that'd probably be a big step up from being on Mars.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
There's no Wi-Fi on Mars.
There's no fucking Wi-Fi on Mars. I need my cat videos. No cat videos on Mars. Yeah, no, I don't want to. I'm not trying to go anywhere. There's no work. There's nothing positive for me to contribute in space. I'm not a scientist. I'm an actor and a comedian and a server.
If you're an adventurer, if you have that itch of an adventurer.
I have an adventurous spirit, sure, but I don't know. We're not there yet. NASA's not just letting people sign up online for moon visits just for their sake of adventure. Moon safaris.
What if after that 3-year long trip, everybody just is dead?
Oh my God.
And then a rocket just crash lands on Mars, and there's just this crash rocket full of dead people on Mars. And
yeah.
It's just there. We can't do anything about it. It's just on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that would be probably the only spiritual energy on Mars is death. It's trauma, There.
Who knows? It's too far away to really know.
God, I know. We don't have the ability to send a little space robot to Mars that can sense.
Yeah, we do.
No, that can sense souls and talk to ghosts and use Ouija boards.
Well, I mean, there could be some stuff going on in Mars.
We wouldn't know.
Maybe under the surface, or because I guess they don't really have much of an atmosphere or something so.
Right.
Well, but then who knows how life can evolve to fit certain
places? Yeah.
Niches, or I don't know.
They found water. They found dried up riverbeds and stuff, and evidence of glaciers and shit.
Pyramids.
On Mars.
Who made the pyramids?
Who made the pyramids?
Right. Just saying.
Think about it.
There's a face on Mars.
There's a face on Mars, for real?
There was.
What?
Yeah, you've never seen the pictures of the face on Mars?
No.
There's pictures of it. They say it's just dunes, sand dunes that had just the wind had blown it into that formation, and then it blew it away.
Oh, well.
But it was close to the pyramids.
Yeah, I see that. It's
just like a
Google image search. A face on Mars.
Anomaly or something.
It looks like a fucking. It looks like
It looks like the face in the sand from The Mummy.
Yeah, it looks like a scene from a Nightmare on Elm Street movie where Freddy Krueger shows, like, he's just like, oh, here's my wall of souls, and they're all just like pushing through, their faces and their hands are pushing through the walls, and they're like, oh, help me, oh.
Maybe it was a sign from a society on Mars to remind us where we come from.
Whoa, that's wild.
Or maybe what if this, right?
Whoa, so, that's a straight pyramid on Mars.
What if a previous, advanced society before ours here on Earth, like a different human society that collapsed after, had a space program that went to Mars, and then everything went to shit here on Earth, and there's just survivors on Mars, like, surviving somehow because of some advanced technology they have or whatever. And I mean, it's ridiculous.
No, of course, but I mean, like,
it's fun to, like, think about.
Physics is different. We don't even know. I mean, we don't fucking know. I think it's a little cocky to think that there's no life out there and be like, really? You think that life can only happen here on Earth? Really? Have you seen life on Earth? It's kind of a fucking mess.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like germs on a rock somewhere is more...
Plus, like, there's...
like, cool and harmonious than what's going on here right now, you know what I'm saying?
There's, like, some theories or hypotheses or something of life being sparked, or I think it's called panspermia, where, like, a comet or a meteor that had some kind of, like, single cell life on it, like, came and hit the Earth and sparked, like, that whole, like, single cell organism evolving to multi-cell, like, just all this, everything, and that's, like, panspermia. And they showed, like, when they went to the moon, they took some bacteria or something, and it survived the radiation and the, like, trip through space to the moon and back. And yeast too, like, they've taken yeast, and yeast can survive, and you can bring it back. You could brew beer with the yeast.
Really?
Yeah. They're Ninkasi. I'm from Eugene, and Ninkasi's a microbrewery in Eugene, and they had a special batch of beer that they brewed from yeast that they shot up into space.
Whoa.
And
that's wild.
Yeah. And so we know that, like, life can exist in space, like on a meteor for, I don't know how long, but
yeah, we've got shit that survives in the depths of the ocean and in, like, hella acidic, toxic pools in Africa and shit. And magma, super hot places. I don't doubt it. Everybody's gonna be real upset when we discover life and it's just, like, germs. No, but I mean, it'll be
a start, though, like, because if there's germs, then there could be other things.
The germs could evolve.
But, like, like you were saying with this whole Chip Kelly thing, not Chip Kelly, but
Scott Kelly.
Scott Kelly. Yeah, like, how being in space could be harmful for your body. Like, you might not be able to live in space for a very long time. So going out into space could just be a death sentence. So maybe that's why we don't see aliens all the time. Like,
yeah,
they would have to send, like, robotic ships or, like, robots, or, like, like, they say that the Greys are, like, a race of aliens that are, like grown beings that like a race like humans that evolved naturally and became very intelligent, like, made some kind of synthetic race of like a slave race, and they call them the Greys.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so a lot of the alien, like, UFO sighting stuff is attributed to the Greys being the synthetic beings that Like I think they're the whites or like the tall, what I don't know, but like there's like the main race that doesn't come here because it's just like it's too dangerous.
Why would we do that? You know, like we're hyper advanced. We don't need to go out there, get shot at.
Or like, or maybe they know like, oh, you're gonna go out into space? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Your body didn't evolve to like live out in space. That's why we engineered beings that could live out in space. Like, I don't know, but like we could be doing that next. I mean, we're already trying to like once we can develop a general AI intelligence, then what's to stop you from like cloning something or like playing with the genes in a clone to fit a certain environment? I'm like we don't know enough about genes yet.
I mean,
but like,
we're still like,
but we have laws that like keep us from experimenting like to a certain extent. But there's other countries that are allowed to do whatever,
like China, like, and they're
on like there's no they don't have the restrictions.
Yeah,
and so they could be like who's to say they can't like make a synthetic being right now, being like,
they're doing crazy shit with that CRISPR technology. You know, CRISPR's
that's an insane technology.
That's that technology there you could like edit genes and stuff. And
it's another general filter. Or what do they call those? The filters, the great filters.
The great filter.
Yeah, great filters are events that like that are between like a lesser advanced civilization from becoming a type 1 civilization something, like where something like discovering nuclear technology. That was a great filter. Like we could have destroyed ourselves. We didn't yet. But
we're trying our best.
So far we're treading through there we're pretty all right.
One day we will get to our goal of destroying the planet.
Yeah, like quantum computers could be a great filter.
Oh yeah.
General AI could be a great filter.
Yeah.
What were we just talking about though? That I said
CRISPR, gene editing.
Yeah, because like there's this article where they're talking about, like what if we use CRISPR to oh no, it was a TED talk to manipulate the genes in a mosquito to like eradicate mosquito, or like maybe not eradicate. No, it wasn't. They were talking about like changing the eye color or something. It's just like a little thing to test to see their power like over this like mosquitoes, and maybe they could change a gene to where the mosquitoes weren't hungry for like human blood or something, or like something like that, using it for something like that. And the person who was giving the TED talk was talking about how like how something like that can run away from you, like when you're dealing with something that breeds rapidly, and like how the gene that you implant, how it can get across the globe before you know it, and the effects that you didn't foresee that gene, that because the thing, it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna like just tweak this gene so that you don't go bald, because it's not just that gene. Like a gene will have more than one effect or something like that. So like you might cure baldness, but then you might give that person cancer or something like that. Like not unwittingly. So like there can be like that's why genetics are so like we don't know enough about genes yet to like really start doing stuff like that, or like
no, well,
so we think.
I mean, so we think, but you know who the rich are gonna. That's the problem with this technology. As long as the rich own it all, you know, they like.
And can get like super IQs.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope the gene to make people taller and smarter is also the gene that makes them fucking ugly and I don't know, like obviously an asshole.
They just like get red skin and grow horns.
I mean, can you imagine that fucking future dystopia where the rich like are just like, I mean, already
they grow a tail.
Yeah, already, you know, they fucking they run everything, and you know, or the control shit. Can you imagine like, well, you know, if they were like superhuman and super smart, and God, like if they turned into demons or something, that would just be hilarious.
Right now, it is kind of like that. You just look for the oldest, grossest, most Skeletor looking, liver spotted, you know, man, and that guy's in the Illuminati. Like,
yeah, right.
He's like 112, and he's on his his 8th heart.
Yeah, or just look at Trump and his fucking mutant-looking kids.
Yeah.
Like, they look like straight mutants. And every time you see a picture of them standing, like a full body picture, they're standing like they're standing for the first time. They stand like they're a penguin that's like about to like fall forward or something. Like, I don't know. Maybe we're already there. I don't know. Get more plastic surgery, Trumps. Huh? You ever thought about that? You hideous. Go back to central casting.
Hire the Kardashians
to be yeah, and to be stand-in for his family. You know.
Meet the Kardashians.
Yeah, meet the Kardashians. Meet the Kardashians, but it's in the White House. Kanye's doing gospel music.
Oh yeah.
And then he'll do, I don't know,
You know why? He's trying to really attach himself to that religious angle for where he runs for president as Republican.
As a Republican?
Maybe.
Damn.
I don't know. I have no idea.
No, that's you may not be wrong. I mean, he does not connect to politics in like a way that's material for most people. For him, he connects to politics in the same way that Trump connects to politics, and that's branding, and that's getting your name out there, that's controlling the media narrative, that's having eyes and ears to you, especially so you could sell your shit, right? Because that's kind of what Trump was going for when he was running. Because you just look at all the... Well, there were reports from the end of the campaign after he won the nomination that they were preparing to launch Trump TV after he lost the election. And then you look at all the pictures of him and Melania on the day that they won, and they look fucking miserable.
Yeah.
They look fucking miserable, you know?
Jokes on
you, right? Well, now, I mean, he's really feeling himself 3 years in, you know? He's really, like, riding the fucking crazy wave into fascist land right now. He's having a great time. And he's gotten away with the Mueller thing came and went, and nothing changed, and now this... Anyway, Kanye is just he's attaching himself to the Christian. He's angling himself as the conservative-friendly black guy in popular media, so he can, scoop up some of those album sales and scoop up some eyes and ears. And I'll give some credit to Kim for talking to Trump and getting some clemency and some criminal justice reforms passed. Like, it's pretty good. But Kanye is... I haven't listened to Kanye in years, but he's been apparently
his new one not that bad.
Really? I've heard that it's trash. I've heard it's not great. But I also
feel like that's probably a typical response right now.
Okay.
Because everybody is not very happy.
They're soured on him.
Yeah, and
I don't like Chance's new stuff either. I don't like the gospel turn. I don't like it's a little corny for me, honestly.
Yeah. For some of the songs on Kanye's new album, I like the beat.
Jesus is King, right?
Yeah, I think. Shit. I can't remember the name. It's like Everybody is Good. I don't know. Everything is Good. I don't know. I like that one a little bit. The beat. Like he's really good at.
I mean, he's an incredible producer.
He's really good at producing. He's good at. He's a really good lyricist. He's good at his art. That's why I like him. And I don't think he's the best at talking on interviews, like from a publicist angle, or to get the best publicity,
like a PR,
or not to say that, because he probably does get good publicity even when it's bad, but I mean, he even talks about it in some of his songs. Like he says that, you know, when he's giving interviews, he's not coming at it from like a specific angle or whatever. Like he's not like giving you some like polished, you know, written thing. Like he's talking off the cuff, or he's like just like kind of he's discussing ideas he's having while he's thinking about the idea. Yeah. And like he's not, so like that's why he'll say something that can come off a certain way, or like maybe it is like, you know, he like with the slavery comment he had, like, you know,
what slavery comment?
You know, where he said slavery was, he thinks slavery is a choice.
Oh, slavery is a choice? Oh, hilarious.
Like, I would imagine that didn't come off the way he wanted it to.
Like, or he's not. Yeah, I mean, oh God. I mean, but he's also so disconnected.
Yeah.
He's so disconnected from what real people
and he talks about his own mental health. Like he recognizes his own like mental health and how, like, you know, ever since his mom died, like he has just
which is good. Like it's normal. It's good to normalize, you know, talking about mental health and seeking help and stuff. But on the flip side, he also talks about like, oh, don't take your meds and shit like that. It's like, no, you're
well, that's yeah, you're right, because like it's your like you're responsible for yourself and everything, but if he is like mentally like unstable, like in a certain way, then is it really fair for like all these, like, you know, TMZ and like all these people to like be interviewing him and chopping up the interview to like pose in a certain way or whatever? Like, no, you know, like because that's the way they say it is, like, for celebrities. Like whenever they give an interview, it's always like some, like, they want to get the most clickbait out of you that they can. And
yeah, well, no, I mean, that's not right necessarily either, but him and TMZ are playing the same game. Honestly, they're both capitalistic enterprises, Kanye, him, and his brand. And like, okay, so recently, like, I saw Lady Gaga. I like Lady Gaga a lot. She tweeted, "Prison is fame," and fame is prison.
Oh,
it's like, okay, I know what you're saying, but prison is prison. You know, like, you are. You may suffer mentally, but like your body is not imprisoned. You're not like in prison. A. B. Capitalism makes celebrities turn themselves into products, and we all want to be in charge of what we create, right? Mm-hmm. And especially if part of what you create or part of your like what you're selling, like if so much of that is who you are very personally, it's your art, it's your persona, it's who you are on interviews, it's, you know, like you become a commodity to whoever you're contracted with, whether you're a recording artist or you're an actor or you're even a basketball player, a football player. Like, you become a commodity and you essentially become exploited because you have to do a contract of 4 albums, and your record company reaps most of the sales, right? Yeah. And you have to make your work pay on tour. So you have to, not only did you do work mentally and physically to create an album and write the album, right? And collaborate with people and do all this shit, and then you're not going to be paid the profits from that. That's going to go to suits in the fucking executive offices, right? Now you have to do even more work and more grueling work. You have to tour, which is hard on your body. You have to perform for thousands of people, which is hard on your body. Lady Gaga performs through like a physical ailment. She has, like, I think hip or spinal issues or something. Like, homegirl is in pain when she's performing, you know, and so, you know, I feel you. Like, I feel you, Lady Gaga, but also saying, fame's not a prison. But you know, yeah, I feel you.
She probably like maybe she has a bunch of loans on like a big house and like an expensive car and like stuff she has to work for to maintain her lifestyle and feeling like you have to do like you're saying, she's in pain and everything. It's like she doesn't want to do this and she has to do it to like maintain what she's got going on. And then on top of that, the way that it isolates you to where you can't have a conversation with somebody without them being affected by who you are.
Yeah.
Like you can't have a down to earth, like just real conversation. I mean, it's just harder to, well, I mean, not even that, but just like any interaction with anybody else is going to be affected by who you are. And like,
yeah, but like you don't have to be famous, you know. Nobody has to be famous. Like, but okay, Lady Gaga, like you can afford. Like, I don't.
What is she gonna do? She can move to another country or something. But if she's
yeah, go live in solitude.
But
liquidate your assets.
Why would she want to live in solitude?
Or just
to
like
get away from the solitude she's in already. I don't know. Like, plus it's like people don't want to move to. For the most part, people don't want to move to a whole new country with like. They want to be close to, you know, their roots and shit. But
yeah,
and like people want to be around like-minded individuals that are like that get their culture like and get their like humor and
yeah.
Like, there's just like I mean, for the most part, there's exceptions for that and everything, but
I mean, this is the trade-off with stardom, though. You know, yeah, I'm feeling like I'm sounding like a boomer right now when I'm just like, if you didn't want to be famous, just don't be famous, you know, like.
How do you know? Really
yeah, but that's like, but it's
you're trading on.
I know, right, and it also just like success,
especially for some of these people that become famous so young.
Yeah, I mean,
where they didn't even get to understand what life is like, like for real, as
yeah.
as a person.
Yeah.
In the world before you have like you know, Chris Brown and Rihanna, they were like 17, 16 or whatever.
Wow.
When they, like, Britney Spears was in the Mickey Mouse Club with Justin Timberlake.
Right.
There's so many, like, so many of these celebrities have been celebrities for a huge part of their life.
Yeah.
And so it, like, no wonder they're so weird.
Maladjusted, yeah.
Because they've been in a bubble their whole life.
Yeah. It really never stops. Well, like, if you were an actor and you had more control over what you created, I feel like that would do a lot towards making stars happier, you know? Like, part of it is the demanding touring and the press touring and the press schedules and dealing with like a lot of this, like dealing with just like the paparazzi, and like a lot of this is just like capitalism making something horrible. I am very early in my Marxist studies, but Marx talks about a concept called alienation, and that's the feeling that you have. It's like you go to work, right? We work at a restaurant. So we go to work, we bust our ass in a shift, and then when it's done, we just like go home and we leave all of what we produced at work. All of the wealth that we created by selling meatloaf or steak or whatever, us and the cooks, we turned raw materials into a dining experience. And that, you know, entered in a transaction, and some money was made and created, right? Some wealth was created. But we leave. Stop. Cat's not allowed to eat the plants. Sorry. So we leave all of that at work for our boss to determine what he does with it. So he goes on vacation and he goes to see sports games and stuff like that. And he doesn't invest in the restaurant. He doesn't invest in us being more successful. So like alienation is us being alienated from the wealth that we create, and that wealth being used for other things, even though like we created it and like we innately feel it's right to put that back into us, whether it's in the restaurant or it's like healthcare or wages or whatever. Like instead he just goes to see tapings of talk shows in big cities. So like that's, I think, some of what is happening here with like big recording artists.
But I think it's
like you don't have any say over what the profits of your work go towards, and instead you have to like do other shit, you know. Instead you have to like go on tour and you have to do like super demanding shit, and like I'm sure Lady Gaga, and I'm sure any artist can make any artist that sells like that can just, in theory, live off of their recording, because that's what people are purchasing, right? Like that seems fair to me.
Now people are just streaming, and
yes,
the payout for the streaming, I don't know. I guess it varies for like,
but it's like cents per stream,
per song and everything, and so but well, like that can add up over like, you know, hundreds of millions of plays, but like I guess it comes out to being still, I don't know. I don't know how the streaming business affected the record industry, the recording industry. I mean, I know it affected it a lot, but I haven't read too much into like how that really affects people. Like I think it's easier to record stuff now, but then like it's like you still have to build up your own clout and everything.
Right, you have to build an audience.
Yeah, like before it's going to become profitable. And like we were saying about you know, like what you create at your job. Like in the restaurant industry, it's a little different from like the music industry, because they're creating an art in music where we're creating like an experience, I guess, like for a guest. And like when it's something more like a restaurant, there's like a risk and reward. Like owning a restaurant is a risky business, and like for the restaurant that we work at, it's different because they've owned the restaurant for a long time, and they own the building, they own the apartments above the building, and it's like their risk and reward like has paid off and everything. And so now like I agree with you with what you're saying about it'd be nice to have for everybody to have more of a say on like you know, their environment, like their work environment, and like all this stuff like that. I think that can only like improve you know, the work environment, and improve like people's moods working there, improve the guest experience, and then ultimately improving the owners, you know, experience, and you know, their wallet and bank account and everything too. But
his risks are padded though. His risks are padded because he doesn't, or most restaurants don't pay their employees more than the minimum wage, which in Illinois is like $6.50 or something like that. The whole tipping, it's all fucked.
In America, that's super weird.
It's super weird. It's rooted in
prohibition.
Post Civil War like Jim Crow shit.
I haven't heard that.
Well, check that out. But like it's yes, having a restaurant is risky, but I know, and everybody we work with knows, that our owner makes poor decisions and doesn't know really what he's doing, and so his risks are padded by the fact that he doesn't pay us. Like he can afford to poorly run a restaurant because he doesn't pay his staff what they're worth. But that is a lot of the industry. And so much of the industry is just padded, mediocre places. And on the flip side, like, employees take a risk too. Across the street. Oh shit! I gotta bleep that out later. Across the street, there's there's a pizza shop that closed down, and
closed down?
Yes,
it closed down.
Yeah, that shit closed down.
How long has it been there?
Like less than a year, maybe a year. Yeah. Well, I mean, most.
So did the taco burrito place.
So apparently, their cleaning crew showed up, and they weren't told that it was closing. So they just showed up to a sign on the door that says "closed until further notice." That's fucked.
That is fucked.
So yes, it's risky, but like. I take a risk every time I've ever applied at a restaurant. You know, you're taking a risk. You don't know because you don't have to.
The same. There's like the risk versus the rewards and everything. And I think.
What do you mean?
Well, they're taking more of a risk because theoretically they took out a loan for this business, like a business loan, and like this is like they have a lot riding on this being a success where you could get another job somewhere, and. It's at the most you'll be strapped for cash for a while, but it's not going to affect your credit if you.
I mean, me personally, but like some people go homeless if they don't have a job. You know, like some people can't feed their kids if they don't have a job.
But like it's kind of a slippery slope argument because, like, for the most people, like if you have a mental or if you're like mentally sound, like able-bodied. And willing to work, and in a place that like Chicago has a good amount of jobs.
Sure. Yeah.
You'll be okay, or like you'll be able to get another job, but for somebody who like took out for like small business owners, I'm saying like taking out that loan to start up that restaurant, like which is a big thing in Chicago. A lot of restaurants are small business like startup, like I mean there's a group. Restaurant groups and everything that kind of like
which are investors. That's not small business, that's like those are investors.
I mean like I was saying there's those, but like there's still a lot of like, small businesses that like so
but at the end of the day they still only their floor is as low as it is because they don't have to pay. They are allowed to and do exploit people who work there, like because if you're not getting the whole tipping culture makes the alienation worse. Tipping culture there's something inherently demeaning about tipped work because you are like working and toiling and doing your best. And if you're at a place like this restaurant that I work at, like it's not built. It's not like it doesn't have good like restaurant infrastructure. It's not. There could be more. It could be a bigger kitchen space or a smaller dining room or more shelving units or this and that, like things that I know because I work there and I'm there all the time. But like it's allowed to be run poorly because none of us are getting. Like so much of the industry is cushioned. Because it exploits workers, and like the tipping culture makes it worse because you're like crossing your fingers at the table so that I hope they tip me right. I hope they tip me right. Oh, I hope I show up and I get tables. Oh, god damn it, it's raining today. I'm only gonna make $40. Like people aren't gonna come in. Like. You're constantly crossing your fingers and you're not guaranteed a dignified living even if you're there, even if you're putting work out, even if you're like bagging to-go orders and not getting tipped for it, right?
I was a car salesman for a little while, and that's how it is, like, in that industry, too. Like, you work off commissions, and so, like, everything driving you is, like, first off, you may, like, the dealership I worked at, you get 25% of the gross, the gross total of the deal. Mm-hmm. So, say, like, alright, so for like every $1,000 that the customer pays over the invoice cost that the dealership owes the manufacturer, every like $1,000 over that point, you get like $250. No, is that right? 25% of 1,000.
25% of 1,000 is 250. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then, like so there's an MSRP, which is like manufacturer suggested retail price, and that'll be listed on the car. But the dealerships will nowadays with the internet, they'll post the lowest price that they can to drive, customers to the dealership. And then, so they come in on the lowest price, and then they look at the MSRP, and they're like, "Why? What's this thousands of dollars extra or whatever?" And like, that's your commission. So, the thing that drives you is that you have to get these people to pay thousands of dollars more than they can or want to, just so that you can make a commission. And you want to make as much money as you can off of every customer, because you don't know how many cars you're going to sell that month.
Yeah.
And at the dealership I went to, they had money that they would guarantee you every month, but you had to make that money back plus more.
What?
To get your commission. So, say they'd give you like $1,500 a month. You have to make that in your grosses, and then after you make that, everything you make after that, that's your actual like commission check. So you get like 2 checks a month. Like, you'll get your first check, which will be that $1,500, and then your second check will be everything after that. So if you don't make that, it's not a big deal, but if you don't make that like 2-3 months in a row, they'll just fire you.
Oh my God.
And, yeah. So like, Verizon, or cell phone companies too, like it's kind of a similar thing, because the Verizon's like the manufacturer, no, that's not right. So like, there's like Samsung's the manufacturer, iPhone, all these manufacturers, and then there's like the Verizon stores. Those are like dealerships for the phones, and so they'll have similar commission payouts for their salesmen and stuff. Where I was applying to a job at this Verizon place, and they had a similar kind of guarantee, but like if you didn't make it, if you didn't make that guarantee, it would roll over the next month. So like, if you didn't sell any phones for a couple months, or like if you didn't make enough to make your guarantee, if you didn't sell enough to make your guarantee for a few months, it would just compound on you, and you would get this debt accumulating on you. Yeah. So like, it's kind of crazy, but there's a lot of people that do really well in car sales and like have made 6 figures a year.
Why do car dealerships exist? Like, why?
It's really weird. There's some laws that go into it, like how the dealerships like lobbied to get it to where like you're not allowed to sell cars from a manufacturer unless you have a dealership's license or something, or
what?
Like it's like you. So there's like kind of
some protectionism.
There's some things in place to like keep this industry the way it is.
Wow.
Like because like there's like CarMax. I think CarMax was like kind of a dealership where they wanted to like get rid of salesmen and just like put it like no like this is the lowest price. They want to do volume sales, and like And I mean the dealerships say that people want to be sold, and CarMax, I don't know. Oh shit! I just unplugged something. I plugged it back in though. Very good. When I was selling cars, they said that CarMax was it didn't do so well or whatever, like without the salesman, like as well as they thought that they would, because like nobody wants to spend that much money.
Yeah.
So part of it is like you want somebody to be able to sell people on like an idea or like a like what it's going to be like to have this car, and like part of it is justified because nobody does want to spend the money, and a lot of people will just go from dealership to dealership and like looking for that perfect car that they have in their head, and like not be able to find it, and they'll get fed up with having to deal with salesmen, and like they'll just buy something at the dealership they're at that is close. Like, so there could be other cars that they had seen, but they didn't want to stop looking yet, or like, and then they'll go back to that dealership and it's gone or whatever. So like there is like, so if you're a salesman and you have a car that is like what these people are wanting, but they're going to be on the fence. They're always going to be on the fence. It's like thousands of dollars. Like, how much time it took them to earn those dollars.
Yeah.
Like, it's a big decision. Like, no. So,
but some people don't want to I don't like being sold to. I hate seeing advertising. I hate people selling anything to me. I ignore people who try to sell me shit at the mall.
Well, arguably those are bad sales. You want to hear something crazy?
What?
When I was in the car industry, I never met this guy, but like in Alaska was a unique kind of a car market, because since they're so far away from the U.S. and it's hard to get things shipped there, and it's expensive to get things shipped there, they're always a little bit behind the U.S. Like the recession didn't hit Alaska as bad, and it didn't hit them until like years after, because they're like just always a little bit behind, like because of how this might sound weird, but like just because of how far away they are and how they're kind of isolated. They're kind of like their own little country over there, but they're not. So for car sales, like when the internet hit, and like you have Kelley Blue Book and NADA, and you can like look up the value of these vehicles just right off the internet. A lot of dealerships started posting the lowest price that they could sell a vehicle for on the internet to drive all the customers there, and because of that, everybody had to do that to compete with the other dealerships. So now you have it made it harder on the salesman to sell, to make their bigger commissions, because now everybody knows the price of the vehicles, which is it's good for the customer, because it empowers the customer, but it's bad for the salesman. And the salesman is really the one who's getting who's losing the most out of that deal, because the dealership is going to make money no matter what. Like they make bonuses off of volume. So like even if they sell a bunch of cars at the lowest profit margin that they can, they're going to get bonuses from the manufacturer if they sell enough cars.
Yeah.
So like they're still going to make money. Like they're not going to give that bonus to the salesman.
No way.
But they do like little bonus stuff. Like they'll do like whoever sells the first car today gets $200 like on top of their commission, or like like they'll do like spiffs, like dice rolls. Like
that's gross though, because it's like gamification of like you should just be making money. You should just be working and making money.
The scariest thing is the worst thing about that job is having to stand there for hours every day, because like you can go all day and not even talk to somebody. Jesus. And that whole day you didn't get paid hourly. And like if you're not if you're not selling so many cars a week, then you're not gonna make anything like for that whole month. It's just like it's a very stressful job, because like if you're not selling anything, you're gonna be on edge, and like you're gonna be pushy, and like people are not gonna like to talk to you, and then you're not gonna sell even more things. Like, and like it's compound. It's like the better you do, like the better you feel and the better you sell, and like but the worse you do, the worse you do, and it's just like it's a business of highs and lows, and like it's a roller coaster.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah. But they're not all like that. I mean, there's dealerships that do pay hourly and they don't do commission, or they do small commissions, or like they're moving away from that.
Good, because that's
it's good for
we should
good,
just.
But it's also. I mean, it's probably good in the long run, because now, like, maybe the car industry will be more transparent between like the customer and the dealerships, because there's not as much incentive for the salesman to make or to get the customer to pay more. So,
sorry.
No, you're good.
I have a hot take. This is a scolding. This is a hot. The car dealership industry is, in its entirety, climate denialism. And we should just be moving away from anything in our culture that makes us want to fucking buy a car. Until at least, we get a hold on we have massive government like research and development of electric cars.
We don't even have to stop buying cars. A huge help would be not buying a new car every 3 years. A car can, if you take care of a car, can last 25 years or so. Like, if you're, like, the average, like, life expectancy of a car is roughly, like, 25 years. That's why Elon Musk was talking about how we need to start making electric cars as soon as possible. Because even if we start today, there's still going to be these carbon-emitting vehicles for the next quarter of a century.
But even his cars are starting to break down.
Yeah, and
because like he's still a capitalist. They're all this is an issue. This is a problem.
I'm not trying to.
No. But I'm just saying in general, like this is an issue of capitalism. This is
exactly
that's what I'm because saying. It's planned obsolescence. This shit we've been doing with washers and dryers and dishwashers for decades at this point. Now it's. There's a greater cost than just buying a new car or a new air conditioning unit, or we're compounding the environmental impacts, every time or even buy a new phone,
all these things require mining the earth for certain elements, like lithium batteries, like Elon Musk's electric cars that are green and everything. The excavator that mined the resources to make that battery wasn't an electric vehicle. It was like running on diesel.
Right.
It's,
and we don't need to be doing that. No, the human. So this is a huge issue with the idea of supply and demand, that the market just does whatever the consumer demands, the market's just doing it. That's why you can go get like Oreo that's like, it's a carrot cake Oreo, and it's a mint chocolate chip Oreo, and we've got potato chip Oreos, and we've got Lay's that taste like Oreos, and like nobody is asking for this. This is just like what money does when it has money. It just wants to continuously multiply its own money. And so it's just going to start looking for crazy ways to do that, to stay relevant, or to just keep growing. It's just it's the idea of growth for the sake of growth. And they control all the advertising, and they blast the new iPhone ad at you every year when they announce it around this time, right? And even if the consumer demanded and the market responded, like, you're creating that by blasting ads at them, it's all fake fucking manufactured. It's engineered shit, you know. It's manufactured consent. We don't need to be buying the new phone every year. Well, all my phones are refurbished. They're secondhand. We don't need to be buying new shit like that. New cars, new phones, new appliances. And because like also like a lot of this shit is like slave labor, you know? A lot of it is straight up slave labor.
But it's like secondhand slave labor. So it doesn't feel as gross,
it's just, you know, like... it's somewhere else now. But that's the thing about capitalism. Capitalism necessitates slavery in order to continue. Slavery and debt. Two things that exist because of capitalism. And we don't need... Debt doesn't need to exist.
I don't know. I feel like slavery can exist in socialism too, and or like communism.
The whole point is communism is authoritarian communism. Sure, maybe we could talk about like work camps and stuff, but the whole idea of socialism is democracy. It's giving power to people. It's giving an equal voice and vote to everyone in their workplace and their communities. It's antithetical to slavery. It's about liberation. It's about the abolishing of domination. It's for, like, socialists believe in ending class. We don't believe in a working class and an owner class. You know, the investors, the landlords, the people who own the sports teams, you know, like people who actually own the land and the businesses and all the shit. They get the ring. They get the ring, right? And they're the ones who donate
for all their hard work.
Yeah, right. They're the ones who donate the most to like political campaigns and like so all of this like this is the owner class and then there's like the vast majority of us like.
What do you think of Mike Cuban?
Who's Mark Cuban?
Mike Cuban,
sports guy.
Is it Mike Cuban? What's his first name? I don't know. The guy who owns the Nuggets, the Denver Nuggets.
I don't know.
He's on Shark Tank.
I don't really know any of those guys. I know about Tillman Fertitta, who owns. He was
talking about running for president.
Oh God!
Maybe he will in the future.
No more billionaires running for president. They're all just thinking about fucking their brand. Of course, they're power hungry. You know. Tillman Fertitta owns the vast majority of waterfront property in, I think, Texas and the Gulf Coast or something insane like that. Like he's a billionaire who owns the Rockets as of a year or two ago. Oh, maybe like 3 years at this point. And he also runs like Landry's and like large large chains in the Houston and Galveston area.
Say he's the Rocket Man.
Yeah, right. He's gonna open the first like fucking Bubba Gump shrimp company on the moon. But fuck all these guys. You know, like they. What was I saying? I was talking about socialism. Oh no, yeah, slavery. Mama socialism. Buying your phones. I mean, if we lived in a socialist society where, like, say it was the Apple Co-op instead of the Apple Incorporated. It was a employee-owned tech company that, instead of putting its profits into bonuses and stock buybacks and just like, you know.
Wasn't that Google before?
Huh?
Wasn't that Google before they got rid of the "Don't Be Evil"?
No, they've always been evil. I mean, corporations. They were always
hiding.
They're always doing They were always doing corporate shit. You know?
What a power move, though! Like to be like, "Don't be evil," and then just to delete that. To rescind that. Yeah. Just be like we didn't have to put that.
We didn't have, but now we're not going to.
And now we're taking it. Figure out what that means.
Well, it tells you that the search for wealth and search for power is like it's never ending, and you can't trust the people who are on that path. You can't trust them to regulate themselves. They're always gonna put a line in the sand far away from where they are, but once they get so big and they approach the line in the sand, they're gonna cross it, because that's exactly where we are here in America with fucking Trump and all these corporate, we had a former CEO of Exxon as Secretary of State for the first part of the presidency, and that is straight up marrying the corporations and the private interests with the federal government, much less an oil company to the Secretary of State. We're talking about like diplomacy and war and like Jesus, with a country that has enough oil wars under its belt, and now we have this former CEO of Exxon and the Secretary of State. That's insane. It's just crazy. It's beyond the pale.
You know what happened? 2012.
2012? What happened in 2012?
Well, that was the end of the Mayan calendar and the beginning of a new cycle, where everything in the past 7 years has been fucking wild.
Everything has been fucking wild for the past 7 years. Yeah.
Crazy. It's a change in the metaphysics of the universe.
I think I'm starting to believe that we live in a simulation.
Yeah.
I think I'm starting to get there. Like,
I mean, it's
and then it's like unraveling. It's like,
kind of
or it's like decaying, It's like learned all of these things from history, but now everything is colliding and like folding in on itself, and that's why we have
this expansion.
Yeah, just like we live in a
You know what that would explain?
Crazy simulation that's falling apart.
That would explain. I mean, it's an axiom. It kind of explains everything because it's so vague, or like because it's so. It's like God. It's like saying, "Well, God made it." So
fair.
It's just rewording that. It's the same thing.
So that's why it's really easy for me to say.
I mean,
John.
all these things are that like so. The Big Bang is an axiom. It's why is the universe? Why does it exist? Oh, because it blew up one time.
When you phrase it like that, but I'm sure you could do a 4-hour lecture and still not scratch the surface and see it's still an axiom.
I feel like when people say, if you don't believe in science, explain cell phones.
I just don't even know what to say to that. I feel like
that's kind of apt. Like it's like apples and
that's just a dumb saying.
Sand or something. Like I mean, it's like just because we figured out how to do certain things, that doesn't mean that everything else in science is like solid. Like or like there's a lot of going off of faith. Like
what's one thing that science is what like
gravity. Like gravity is it's something that we it's just like you name something that is just something that's there that we don't just float off of the planet. Like we are pulled to the planet. We don't know why we're pulled to the planet, but we are, and we call that gravity.
That's also that's the orbit is gravity too.
Yeah. Well, we say that gravity is a distortion of space-time. So like matter is supposed to like warp space-time.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you think of it as like the surface of water or something, and like a planet will be like a vortex of like just a vortex in the water, and then stuff going by the vortex is going to be affected by that vortex, and it's gonna it's going to like have an effect on that body without touching it. And like we don't really like, that's just like you could say that so God to keep us from flying off the planet like keeps it to where
you're saying that we just don't know what it is yet. And we just have a name for it?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
But like, what's wrong with that? Like, we just don't know what it is.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, that's not that far off of, like... It's just like there's a bunch of monsters and you just give them names until you're not afraid of them anymore. So like there's like this big monster in the ocean and then we call it the shark, and then it still eats it doesn't eat us, but it's still a predator that can attack us and fuck us up.
Yeah.
But like we call it a shark and now everything's groovy.
And all we do right now is like, it's a shark. It's got gills. The teeth look very sharp. Yeah. It's got like 3 fins and then a tail, and it looks like this and it looks like that. But like, yeah, it'll still fuck us up, and we don't know what it will do. That's what scientists, our best scientists, are really just describing and what's going on, and we still don't know what's going on. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, and like physics, like everything in science is dependent on the fact that all this, like, it's dependent on you do tests. You have a concept, you have a hypothesis, and then you test it, and you test it over and over and over to see if it holds up. And if it holds up, then that becomes a law. But that's entirely dependent on it continuously holding up. Who's to say something won't change that will just make it to where that no longer is true. So like water boils at what temperature on Earth? It freezes at like 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius. But that's dependent on the atmospheric pressure. Like on another planet with a different atmospheric pressure, water can boil at its freezing point. Like, so there's a bunch of factors. There's always factors that we can't always take into consideration. Like in that book that I'm reading that Alan Watts wrote, The Way of Zen, where he talks about Western thinking is mostly conventional knowledge, where everything like based on our languages, like it's small increments. Like he relates it to like trying to drink the whole ocean at a cup at a time. So like trying to explain an idea is using small abstractions to grasp a concept. And like I'm kind of like losing where I was going with that.
That's all right. We're gonna say goodbye now.
Yep.
But thanks for coming along.
Thanks for joining us.
Get out of that basement. Get out of the basement.
Let him out.
Let him out.
Let him out of there.
Let him out. Okay? Please. It's a whole family. Let them all out. Right? Turn it down the little, take it to the lake. We still can never solve the riddle. I'm on top of the world, even when I'm in the South Pole, and I'm ruder than you, even when I chew with my mouth closed. I know